I never thought my world would come crashing down over something as simple as a phone call, but that's exactly what happened. For over a decade, I believed my marriage to Emily was solid. We had built a life together, created a home, and shared what I thought was a strong foundation of trust and love. Sure, we weren't perfect, who is? But I never imagined that everything I thought I knew could be shattered in just one night. Looking back, the warning signs were there, but I ignored them. Maybe it was blind trust, maybe it was denial, or maybe I just didn't want to believe that the woman I had dedicated my life to was capable of such betrayal. But deep down, I had felt it. Something had been off for months. Emily started working late more frequently. At first, it was once a week, then twice, and eventually, it became almost every night. I remember jokingly bringing it up, testing the waters. She laughed it off, making some excuse about deadlines and extra projects. It was a reasonable explanation, one that I wanted to believe. Then came the more subtle changes. Her phone was suddenly always on silent, always face down, never more than an arm's reach away. She started getting text messages that made her smile, but she never shared what they were. The way she dressed up more, the new expensive perfume, the fancy lingerie, each clue was right in front of me, but I brushed them aside. Nothing, though, could have prepared me for the night I got that call. Emily told me she was going out for a girls' night, just dinner with friends. I didn't think twice about it. She kissed me goodbye, told me not to wait up, and left. A few hours later, I was sitting on the couch, mindlessly flipping through channels, when my phone rang. An unknown number. I hesitated before answering, debating whether to let it go to voicemail. But something in my gut told me to pick up. Hello. There was silence at first. Then, a man's voice, low and almost amused. Hey man. Thought you should know, your wife isn't at a girls' night. I felt my entire body tense up. My grip on the phone tightened. Who the hell is this? I demanded. You don't know me, he continued. But I know Emily. I see her right now, actually. She's at a restaurant having a romantic dinner, and, well, it's not with you. A chill ran through me, but I still wanted to believe it was some kind of mistake. A prank. A cruel joke. Then he said something that left no room for doubt. She's wearing a black dress, red lipstick, sitting across from a guy in a blue shirt. They just ordered wine. My breath caught in my throat. That was exactly what Emily had been wearing when she left the house. My mind raced as a sickening wave of realization crashed over me. I could have jumped in my car, driven straight to that restaurant, and confronted them. I could have stormed in, flipped the table, caused a scene, and demanded answers. But I didn't. Something inside me stopped me. Instead, I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked out the door. But not to the restaurant. No, I had a different plan. I drove straight to the hardware store. And I bought new locks. Because I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg for explanations. I wasn't going to let her come home like nothing had happened. By the time she called me, confused, I was already done changing them. That was when everything truly began. The moment I answered her call, I could hear it in her voice. Confusion, irritation. But not guilt. Not yet. Hey, she said, trying to sound casual. Why aren't you picking up my texts? I glanced at my phone screen. 3 unread messages. Emily. Hey, I'm heading home soon. Emily, are you still up? Emily, why aren't you answering? I could picture her tapping the screen impatiently, expecting me to respond like I always did. But tonight was different. I gripped the phone tighter and took a slow breath. Don't bother coming home, I said evenly. You're locked out. Silence. The kind that stretches out so painfully, you can almost hear the other person scrambling for a response. What? She finally said, a small laugh in her voice, like she thought I was joking. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Her tone changed instantly. The casual act vanished, replaced by something sharper. What the hell does that mean? It means, I said, leaning against the kitchen counter, that I know exactly where you are and who you're with. Another pause. Then, the inevitable denial. I don't know what you're talking about. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Come on, Emily. You can do better than that. Listen, she started, but I cut her off. You're at dinner in a black dress with some guy in a blue shirt. You ordered wine. Did I miss anything? Dead silence. I could feel the panic seeping through the phone. She was scrambling, trying to figure out how much I knew and how to spin it in her favor. That's what cheaters do, right? They don't confess. They manipulate. They gaslight. They twist reality until you start questioning yourself. Not this time. Who told you that? She finally asked, her voice quieter now. I smiled bitterly. Oh, so you're not denying it. Just curious who ratted you out. She exhaled sharply, frustration creeping in. This isn't funny, okay? I don't know who's feeding you lies, but I was with my friends. I clicked my tongue. Don't. Just don't. There was a pause before her voice softened. Babe, listen, I changed the locks. A sharp intake of breath. Then, disbelief. Wait, what? You heard me, I said coldly. I changed the locks. Don't bother coming home. You don't live here anymore. And just like that, the screaming started. Are you insane? She shrieked. You're locking me out of my own house. You can't do that. I let her rant. The accusations, the name-calling, the classic, you're overreacting. It was all just background noise now. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't apologizing. She was furious that she got caught. That was all that mattered. Call the police, she threatened. You can't just throw me out. This is my house too. Actually, I said calmly, it's not. My name is the only one on the mortgage. You moved in after we got married, remember? Which means, legally, you're a guest. And I just rescinded your invitation. She gasped, like I had physically slapped her. I could almost hear her hands shaking on the phone. You can't be serious, she whispered. Oh, I'm dead serious. Then came the bargaining. Babe, please. Let's just talk, okay? I can explain. I laughed. No, Emily. You can't. And even if you could, I wouldn't listen. More silence. In the background, I could hear muffled voices. Her lover must have been sitting right there, watching this unfold. I wondered what he was thinking. Was he panicking too? Did he realize the woman he was having dinner with had just lost everything? Then, in a last desperate attempt, she went for guilt. I have nowhere to go, she whispered. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting that sink in. A few hours ago, that line might have worked. I might have softened. I might have thought about our years together, our history, the love I once had for her. But not anymore. I clenched my jaw. Not my problem. And then, I hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. She called again. And again. And again. Each time, I let it ring. Eventually, the calls stopped. I turned off my phone and sat there, in the quiet house. The house that was mine again. It was over. Or so I thought. Because, as it turned out, Emily wasn't the type to accept defeat easily. And this was only the beginning. For the first time in years, my house was silent. No forced conversations, no fake smiles, no tension hanging in the air. Just peace. It should have felt comforting. Instead, it felt heavy. I sat on the couch, staring at my phone. No new calls. No messages. After all her screaming and panicking, Emily had finally stopped trying to reach me. But I wasn't naive. I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. She wasn't the type to just accept what had happened and move on. No, Emily was a fighter. Not in the way that meant fighting for our marriage, though. She was the kind of person who fought against any consequence that didn't benefit her. And I was about to see just how far she was willing to go. It was close to midnight when I heard it. A car pulling into the driveway. Then footsteps. Slow. Hesitant. Then, the rattle of the doorknob. I didn't even bother standing up. I just smirked to myself, waiting for it. A few seconds later, bang. Fists pounding against the door. Open the door, Ryan. There it was. Emily's voice, raw with rage. No more fake sweetness, no more manipulation. Just pure, unfiltered anger. I stayed silent, just listening. "I swear to God, Ryan, you can't do this. I have nowhere to go," she yelled. Then, after a moment, her voice dropped into something softer, something desperate. "Babe, please. Just let me in so we can talk." I almost laughed. The shift from fury to pleading was so predictable. But I wasn't falling for it. "I already told you," I said, loud enough for her to hear. "You don't live here anymore." Silence. "Then?" "You're being ridiculous," she spat. "This isn't just your house. I have rights." I sighed and stood up, walking toward the door. "Actually, you don't." I pulled out my phone and opened my security app. A live feed popped up, showing Emily standing on my porch, arms crossed, her face twisted in frustration. "You're trespassing," I said calmly. "Leave now, or I'll have to call the police." That hit a nerve. I watched as her face contorted with fury. She let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, please. You wouldn't do that to me." I hovered my thumb over the emergency call button. "Try me." For a moment, she just stood there, breathing heavily. Then, without another word, she stormed off. I watched as she climbed into her car, slammed the door, and sped off into the night. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I just felt tense. Because I knew that wasn't the end of it. Emily didn't give up. She regrouped. And sure enough, she had more tricks up her sleeve. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing. Groggily, I reached for it, expecting another call from Emily. But when I looked at the screen, I froze. 20 missed calls. 10 new voicemails. Dozens of messages. And the first text I saw made my stomach drop. "Dude, Emily's telling everyone you kicked her out and took all her stuff. What's going on?" Of course. Of course. She was trying to twist the story. I scrolled through the messages. Some were from people we hadn't talked to in years, suddenly concerned about how heartless I was. Others were from family members, asking if everything was okay. And then there were Emily's messages. "Emily, you are ruining my life. Emily, how could you do this to me after everything? Emily, everyone knows what you did. You're going to regret this. Emily, answer me, Ryan." She was trying to control the narrative, to make herself look like the victim. I sighed, rubbing my temples. I could already see the fallout. Friends picking sides. Family members reaching out. People making assumptions. And Emily, she wasn't done yet. Because while I was dealing with the social blowback, she was planning her next move. And it was about to get way worse. I expected some backlash, but I underestimated just how far Emily was willing to go. By noon, my phone was still buzzing non-stop. Mutual friends, co-workers, even distant relatives, everyone had something to say. At first, I ignored it. But when I finally checked the messages, I realized the situation was worse than I thought. Emily wasn't just playing the victim. She was making me out to be the villain. "I can't believe you'd throw her out like that. She loved you, man. Why didn't you try to work things out first? Kicking her out was extreme. Emily said you've been distant for months. Maybe she made a mistake, but did you have to humiliate her?" Humiliate her? I nearly laughed. She was the one sneaking around behind my back, lying to my face. And yet, somehow, I was the bad guy for not politely accepting the betrayal? It wasn't just texts either. Someone, probably Emily, had posted about it online. A long, dramatic message about how her cold and heartless husband had changed the locks and left her homeless without a word. How she had made one mistake and was kicked to the curb like trash. Of course, she left out the part about her ongoing affair. I stared at the post, feeling frustration build in my chest. People were eating it up. The comments flooded in. "Stay strong, Emily. No woman deserves this. I hope you take him for everything in the divorce. He sounds abusive. Good riddance." That last one made me pause. Emily hadn't even mentioned divorce to me yet. But now, she was fueling the idea, getting people on her side before I even had a chance to respond. And the worst part? She had tagged my job. Her post ended with, "And after everything, He's still pretending like nothing happened. Ryan, you may have locked me out of the house, but you can't lock me out of my life. Everyone will see the real you now. I clenched my jaw. My fingers gripped my phone tightly. This wasn't just about getting back at me. She wanted to destroy me. I knew better than to engage in a public battle. That's what she wanted, to paint me as the angry, heartless husband who didn't care. So, I took a different approach. I made 2 calls. The first was to my lawyer. Emily is slandering me online, I said. Do I have legal grounds? You do, he confirmed. But responding publicly will only make things worse. Stay silent for now. Let her burn herself out. The second call was to her sister, Megan. The moment she picked up, I asked, You seeing this? She sighed. Yeah. She's spiraling. Can you talk to her? Get her to take it down. I'll try, she said, but then hesitated. Ryan, she's not thinking rationally. She's lashing out because she knows she lost. I exhaled slowly. She was right. Emily wasn't fighting for our marriage. She wasn't even fighting for the house. She was fighting because she hated losing. That evening, I got another call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something told me to pick up. Ryan, right? A voice said. Yeah. Who is this? A pause. Then. I'm the guy who called you the other night. My breath caught. The informant. I hadn't expected to hear from him again. I have something you need to see, he said. Something that proves she's been lying about everything. I hesitated. What is it? I'll send it to your email, he said. But be ready, man. This changes everything. My pulse quickened. What do you mean? A long pause. Then, in a dark tone, he said, She's not just playing the victim. A chill ran through me. She's been planning this for months. The call ended. A few seconds later, an email notification popped up. I opened it, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Because Emily hadn't just been cheating. She had been planning to leave me for him, but only after securing as much money and assets as possible. She never expected to get caught. And now that she had, she was doing everything she could to flip the script. But now, I had proof. And she had no idea. I stared at my screen, my pulse pounding. The email was filled with screenshots, text messages between Emily and the guy she had been seeing. I clicked on the first one. Emily, he has no idea. I'll keep playing the devoted wife until the house is in my name. AP, a fair partner smart. You deserve half of everything. More, honestly. Emily, once I have what I need, I'll file and walk away clean. He won't see it coming. My hands clenched into fists. She hadn't just been cheating. She had been planning this from the beginning. Every move she made had been calculated. Every lie, every fake smile, every night she worked late, it was all part of the long game. She was waiting for the perfect moment to gut me financially before leaving. And the worst part? She was furious that I had caught her first. I kept scrolling. Emily, I'll make him look like the bad guy. If he tries anything, I'll say he was abusive. AP, that'll work. People always side with the woman. Emily, exactly. I can get sympathy. Maybe even some extra cash out of him. I shut my laptop. My breathing was uneven. So that was her endgame. She had gone public, not because she was hurt, not because she wanted to come home, but because she was setting me up. This wasn't just a messy breakup. This was war. I didn't hesitate. I picked up my phone and called her. She answered immediately. "Oh, now you decide to talk," she snapped. "Are you done acting like a child?" "Cut the crap," I said, my voice cold. "I know everything." She scoffed. "Oh, do you? What, did one of your little friends tell you another story?" "No," I said, opening my laptop again. "I have the receipts, Emily. Every text. Every plan. Every lie you told." Silence. Then, "I don't know what you're talking about." I laughed. "You really think you can gaslight me? I have proof that you were planning to screw me over long before I changed the locks." Still, she tried to deny it. That's ridiculous. Shut up, I said calmly. I have the messages, Emily. The ones where you talk about faking abuse. The ones where you brag about how I wouldn't see it coming. Another beat of silence. Then, for the first time, her voice cracked. Who sent them to you? And that's when I knew. She wasn't denying it anymore. She just wanted to know who betrayed her. I smirked. Wouldn't you like to know? Her breath hitched. Ryan, I can explain. No, you can't, I said. And I don't care. I let that sink in before continuing. You've already lost, Emily. And now? I'm going to post these myself. She gasped. No, you can't. I leaned back, satisfied at the panic in her voice. Why not? I asked. You didn't have a problem smearing my name. But now that I have the truth, you're scared. Ryan, please, she pleaded. If you do this, I'll have nothing. I smiled bitterly. Not my problem. And with that, I hung up. An hour later, I posted the screenshots. No captions. No explanations. Just the truth. And the reaction was immediate. People who turned on her instantly. Holy sh*t, she was playing the long game. Dude, I'm sorry. I believed her at first. I feel sick. She was literally planning to ruin your life. Emily tried to do damage control. But it was too late. Within hours, she disappeared from social media. Her phone calls stopped. The texts from mutual friends dried up. Even her own sister texted me. Megan, she deserves everything coming to her. I'm so sorry, Ryan. Emily had tried to burn my life down. But in the end, she was the one left in ashes. And for the first time in months, maybe even years, I felt free. After I posted the screenshots, everything imploded. Emily's public meltdown turned into radio silence. She deactivated all her accounts, probably too ashamed to face the people who had, just hours before, been showering her with sympathy. But that wasn't the end of it. Because she had one last desperate move. 2 days later, my phone buzzed. A single text. Emily, Ryan, please. Can we talk? I stared at the screen. After everything, she still thought she could weasel her way back in. She didn't apologize. She didn't acknowledge what she had done. She just wanted another shot at manipulating me. I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked her number. Blocked her email. Blocked every possible way she could reach me. Because I didn't need to hear another excuse. I had wasted enough time on her. The next few weeks were about rebuilding my life. I changed my routines. Focused on my work. Reconnected with old friends, the ones who had believed in me from the start. And Emily. I heard bits and pieces. Her affair partner, the guy she had risked everything for, dumped her. Turns out, he didn't want a relationship. He just enjoyed the thrill of sneaking around. And once the thrill was gone, so was he. Emily had burned every bridge. She lost the house. She lost her reputation. And now, she lost even the guy she cheated with. Me. I walked away with my dignity intact. Emily always thought she was the smartest person in the room. She thought she could control everything. But in the end, she lost the only thing she never expected to lose. Me. And I was finally free. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.